Alright, hello everyone. Today I'll be refuting the claim about how hybrid cars are an inadequate solution to our transportation problem. To give you a clear definition of what a hybrid car is, it is a car that can run off either two or more different fuel sources. In most cases, a hybrid car runs off gasoline or stored energy in its battery. The advocate's speech used three supporting claims. 1. Hybrid cars cost more than conventional automobiles. 2. Improvements in fuel economy are not big enough to warrant the hybrid system. 3. Hybrids still pollute and still use fossil fuels nearly as much as standard gas-powered cars. Going back to the supporting claim that hybrid cars cost more than conventional automobiles. When he was explaining this claim, he talked about popular models like the Toyota and Honda that don't get federal tax credit. But he also failed to mention that there's 47 other hybrid cars that still do get a federal tax credit, according to Edmunds.com, which he cited several times throughout his speech. He also didn't even recognize the other incentives shown on Edmunds.com to owning a hybrid car that would warrant the fact of spending a little bit more money for a car for the ability to drive in things such as the HOV lanes, which are designated for high occupancy vehicles. This just basically means that you can drive in the carpool lane. In Southern California, I could see how many more people would fork out a little extra cash in order to receive the special opportunity to drive in the carpool lane by themselves. Besides the conditions he puts on the evidence presented, he also makes a sweeping generalization when he talks about two particular models. How could two cars be representative of the entire industry that seems to be growing bigger and bigger every year, with the additions of several different types of vehicles, such as the SUV hybrids? The main thing I oppose with this claim is the main thing I oppose about the supporting claim was that it's irrelevant to the main claim. The controversy is over how hybrid cars are an inadequate solution to our transportation problem. This is irrelevant thesis. Price would be a question of affordability to anyone seeking and buying a hybrid car. And even then, yes, a hybrid car does cost more, but you get advantages to owning a hybrid car like driving in the HOV lanes. On top of that, if you cannot afford a new hybrid car, you would be able to buy a used hybrid, which has dropped a substantial amount from its new price. Now going on to the second claim, improvements in fuel economy are not big enough to warrant the hybrid system. In his reasoning to prove this, he makes a hasty generalization that hybrid cars typically get 10% worse fuel economy than is stated on their EPA test. According to John D. Pietro, a road tester editor at the automotive website Edmunds.com, he says that most drivers will get between 75 to 87% of the rated mileage, with individuals varying based on their driving habits and traffic route. The test for the estimated MPG is taken under the best possible conditions to be driving in. Honestly, when have any of us ever driven in the best possible driving conditions? Basically, the hybrid is not the only car that performs at 10% less than what is stated on the EPA test. According to Edmunds.com, most, if not all, cars are expected to perform at a less MPG than is stated for the fact of how everyone drives is different. As a counterclaim to supporting claim, hybrid cars are intended to increase gas mileage in city driving. According to HowStuffWorks.com, hybrid cars use batteries that is able to store energy created during the braking process, and then use that stored energy later to help propel the car. This energy, in most of the times, is to help accelerate the car from a slow or a dead stop. One can see that the main place you will find this kind of driving would be in inner cities where one is forced to, by law, slow down and to either oncoming traffic or pedestrians walking across the street. The only exception where a hybrid car would help out besides the city is driving in traffic during rush hour, such as we've all experienced living here in Southern California. And finally, his third claim that hybrids still pollute and still use fossil fuels nearly as much as standard gas-powered cars. I only have one problem with the final statement that hybrid cars are an in-between stage towards something else. This contradicts his claim that hybrid cars are an inadequate solution to our transportation problem. By saying that it is a stepping stone, it contradicts his claim because it warrants the fact that he is saying hybrid cars at least are helping to the solution. Being a stepping stone to the solution means that it has done a substantial amount to help the progression of alternative fuels, which is the ultimate goal that I'm getting from his speech. In conclusion, I hope you guys saw that the claims and grounds presented during the claim of the side speech did not warrant the fact that hybrid cars are an inadequate solution to our transportation problem. Thank you.
All right, well, the structure is labeled. I don't know why we're getting the definition on hybrids again. That's probably not necessary. There's a good piece of information about the number of a variety of hybrids that are available out there. And you say that they are still able to get the tax credits. I'm not sure if that's an Edmunds citation or not, but you definitely want to give us that information, because that's one of the arguments that the advocate did present, that the tax credits are mostly gone. But if they are still available and they're available for those 47 other hybrids, then that would substantiate your claim quite a bit. Let me see, and then you mentioned other benefits like the HOV lanes. Same sort of thing. That was an advantage for early hybrids in California. I don't know if they still have those kinds of advantages. I know that there's a limitation on the number of stickers that were available. So if you're going to make these assertions, make sure that you back them up a little bit with contemporary data. All right, then you have a good challenge about whether or not the two cars are really representative, and why are we using those two. It's a fair question, but there's not really much of an explanation about why those two are not very representative, that they are only a small proportion, for instance, the total hybrid sales numbers. That would be something that would indicate that there would be a reason to doubt the validity of comparisons based on that. The price issue is okay, although there's a couple of assertions here, and we didn't get any information about hybrid reef sales. So do they hold their prices? Are used hybrids, what's the cost in comparison to a used standard engine? I don't get any numbers on that. You make the argument, but there's no follow-through on that particular point. Let me see. The statistics on the second point basically say the same thing that the advocate said, so I'm not exactly sure what you're getting out of that. Your explanation about the battery thing, well, that's all theoretical, but again, we're back to the point: how much how much extra mileage are we going to get? Is there any actual savings in fuel? Because that is the whole point that's trying to be gotten here. And I'm not sure that the comparison that you gave us shows that there is a substantial difference. On the last point, you do have this interesting argument that says, well, they must have some value because they're part of a stepping stone process. And if they lead to alternative vehicles, I think that might be a point that's valid. And you need to show, for instance, that the use of hybrids would be a necessity before we went to hydrogen or other powered vehicles. As it is, it just seems like it's a stopgap measurement, and I'm not sure if a stopgap is necessarily the same thing as a stepping stone. All right, thank you.